Back with J.C. Polanco and O'Brien Murray. So now we're going to talk about the mayor's race and the I guess not surprising win by Zohran Mamdani. But I guess the question we need to ask is: were you surprised by his victory speech, where he the night of his victory, where he seemed to be a lot harsher and more confrontational than he had been during the campaign?
I was surprised. You have to remember, about 50%, 49.6% of the city voted against Mayor-elect Mamdani. So you had to think about uniting the city. How can you bring people together? Look at some of the numbers on the jury.
Did he unite people?
No, of course not that night. No, think about it. You have about 65% of Jewish New Yorkers voted against Assemblyman Mamdani. Your task is to unite the city, not to go in there with that bombastic speech. I think it was a mistake. I think he should have had a more conciliatory position on his speech. He did give his base red meat, and they were all very excited to hear his socialist quotes. It was all wonderful for them. But we need to unite the city right now. That should be job number one for the mayor-elect.
I was not at all surprised. I was very disappointed. It wasn't just a missed opportunity, but for somebody to have had so many attacks thrown at him the last 2 weeks and claim that, oh, this is terrible, you shouldn't attack me, you know, you're anti-this, oh, it's just all, you know, wait a second. If you want to be the unifier, you come out of that and use election night when the world is watching to unify. And it was a missed opportunity, and I was disappointed in it that he would, you know, it just proved how much those tears we saw were fake. It was all acting. He came out his true colors. His opening quote from a socialist was, boom, guess what, guys? I got elected. I'm going to do what I want. I read the quotes. I Googled it right there. The quotes from the socialist that he quoted, I was shocked.
Several
It was just amazing that he would quote and start off, and then he quotes Mario Cuomo later on without giving it attribution to Mario Cuomo. What is this guy trying to do?
You know what I want to say?
That was before he quoted Mario Cuomo after he made a remark about how he didn't want to be able to say the name Cuomo anymore. So I think that the reason, not that I'm trying to defend him, but having said the line about him saying, I don't want to ever mention the name Cuomo again, so I think he couldn't then give Mario Cuomo the kudos for saying that you campaign in poetry, but you govern in prose.
Well, yeah, you know, I thought that I don't ever want to utter the name Andrew Cuomo again. I think that was kind of weak, considering that you've just won the most important job on earth, in my opinion. And I think...
Should he have been more conciliatory?
I think, of course, when you consider how former Governor Cuomo, when he mentioned that he had congratulated Assemblyman Mamdani, people in the audience were booing, and he said, no, don't boo. We don't do that. We're not like that. I thought that was a much different approach than we saw on the other side from the victor's standpoint. But again, you know, to the victor go the spoils. And Mayor-elect Mamdani is going to continue ensuring that his base is happy. But I'll tell him this, your job should be to unite the city. 50% of the city voted against you when 70% of New York City is Democrat. So you underperformed. So now you got to connect and bring all of us together.
But let me ask you this, Obi. You know, during the campaign, Zohran Mamdani took a lot of incoming. And so maybe, you know, could you understand that maybe he thought he deserved the right to come back?
He deserves the right to do whatever he wants. He won, so the victor goes to spoils. But it was a rookie move. It showed how inept he was at an opportunity, no matter what his advisor said, to say, this is what we have to do. When Ronald Reagan uttered the words, tear down this wall, the State Department wanted out. He kept on insisting, I want to do this and fight for where I believe. Mamdani should have fought for what he believed, which should have been the unification of the city and all voters and the entire city of New York, and he didn't do it and wouldn't do it, it sounds like.
And he also declared war on President Trump.
That's a mistake. We need to have support from the White House, especially moving forward with funding. And I don't think it's the right thing to do. Not right now. I understand during the campaign.
Maybe it was a message that he thought needed to be sent to the president.
We did that.
So
the campaign is over.
Would back off.
Marcia, the campaign is over, though.
Even I had said that was terrible. It was not the way to work for New York City and do what's best for New York City itself. That was all about Mamdani when he did that and when he said that, and DSA, that's where it was. Even Van Jones agreed with me, and we rarely agree on anything. But when you have a liberal commentator on TV calling him out and saying that was a wrong thing to do, we definitely know it was wrong.
Marcia, can I say something? You said something that I wanted, if I may. You said something along that day. He was taking a lot of incoming. This is a campaign for New York City mayor. I don't remember a campaign for New York City mayor when there's not a contrasting going on. There was some good.
On election day, there was a commercial that had a picture of the World Trade Center being attacked with him standing in front of it.
We're not
There
going
are some people that might have thought that was a little bit of a
There
low
were
blow.
some awful Islamophobes online doing crazy things. They should be condemned and never see the light of day in public life, period. But a lot of the things that were happening, and I was witnessing it, were contrasting things that he has said in the past himself, whether it's giving a shout out to the Holy Land Five in his rap music, whether surrounding himself with Hassan Piker, all these terrible people that didn't even want to go as far as humanizing the Jews. If you surround yourself with these people and people object to it, it's not incoming, it's contrasting. And I think too many people were coddling him, not you, Marcia, not CBS, but a lot of local press were coddling him. And I ask your viewers to Google Mamdani and New York Times, and this is what you're going to see. The hands of Mamdani and what the rings say about him. How Mamdani made food central to his campaign. All this soft fawning that went through New York City media. So I want to hear about incoming. I said never you. Never you. But I did see a lot of videos.
The ads you're talking about that happened at the end, I firmly believe, was a panic from everyone that was anti-Mamdani and sat on their hands until about 3 weeks out. There was none of this money being spent, none of this attacking. And I sat here before and said, you need to define, the opponents need to define Mamdani early on and spend the money. And you mentioned all the money that was spent in the primary against Mamdani. That all evaporated by July 1st. There needed to be a hard effort defining who Mamdani was from the primary way past Labor Day, and they didn't even show up until after October.
But you're saying it was too little, too late.
Yes, exactly. It was way too little, way too late, and actually which led to being too strong, to your point.
All right, so Ken Friedman, who's a political commentator, called Mamdani's win, and I quote, a victory of vision and vibe over unrealistic campaign promises. Is he right? Or can Mamdani make good on all the things he promised?
It was poetry. Mamdani had poetry. He can't govern that. That's exactly what Ken is saying. Ken's a great writer. He's got great stuff. I know him. I hadn't seen that piece yet. But at what we saw during the election, of talking about promises made and promises kept, the promises made will not be able to be kept. It will not be able to be paid for. It will not be acceptable in the bigger picture, other than his energy that he had for the election not to govern.
You know what I'm concerned about?
What are you concerned about?
Marcia, the fact that now Assemblyman Mamdani, now mayor-elect, has rewritten the political playbook in which you can be overtly dreamy and I wouldn't say lie to the public, but promise things that are completely never going to happen, but they sound good. And if you say it often and go viral in your videos, you, with very little experience, can promise the world to people knowing that it's never going to happen and get elected to be mayor of New York City. I think voters should be more concerned about people making false promises to them. We know that we don't have money in the MTA for free buses. We know that freezing the rents on everyone would be disastrous to the economy. We know that providing free daycare to everyone, regardless of means, is a problem. So promising that stuff, knowing it can never happen, and getting elected mayor has rewritten the political playbook.
And he didn't get called out for that until the debates. And then future. There was minimal conversation about he couldn't do things until the debates. And then it was too little, too late. It was too baked in. People had accepted, oh, this is great. It'll work.
You know what he didn't promise that he should have, and he probably would have gotten my vote? If he would have said all chubby dudes would get free Ozempic, I would have maybe considered supporting him or something. I'm the only guy who didn't get something promised.
I love you guys. Look, I need to ask you a question about the Jewish vote. You know, the day after the election, the Anti-Defamation League said it was going to have a Mamdani monitor to monitor whether he is actually including Jews in his government, et cetera. And this comes as there's a big rise in anti-Semitism. It also comes as some of his Palestinian supporters, Linda Sarsour and others, say that they're going to hold him to his belief in Palestinian rights, and he's not going to support Israel as a Jewish state. What effect is that going to have on what seems to be a cultural divide in New York City?
I applaud them for doing that, ADL. And the reason is because Linda also said, I've been quiet until now. She's like a sister to Mamdani. She was with him way back, and she knew she was so much of a negative to him that she hid until the last week of the campaign when she came out and made various statements. That is what we should be scared about, and that is one thing that everybody outside of City Hall should keep an eye on. Who does he bring into City Hall? Who are his advisors outside City Hall? Who does he listen to? Because that will direct what actions he takes of what we are so concerned about. The rise in anti-Semitism, it happened the day after the election. There was an incident in Brooklyn. It wasn't even a week, and this is what's happening.
It wasn't even a day. But you know what? I will tell you this. He may have missed a rare opportunity to bring people together, because, you know, there was a swastika that was painted on the outside of a synagogue. And if you wanted to bring people together, maybe the candidate, the mayor-elect, could have gone to that synagogue and tried to personally erase it.
That would have
to
been
send a message.
that would have been nice, Marcia. But if I may, you mentioned Sarsour. She has a lot of fans that are watching this morning. But if you were to Google her, she also has, and I'm paraphrasing now, that we have to be concerned about humanizing the Jews in the discourse. He's also surrounded himself with people like Piker, who is very anti-Jew and said that America deserved 9/11. So you surround yourself with these people. It's important that in the ADL does keep a monitor. But that is why this is a perfect opportunity for Mayor-elect Mamdani to really work on that relationship and rebuilding trust and saying, I'm sorry for these things.
Like what the ADL does, and I take your point about you think it's a good idea. Obviously, the CARE and other groups who are pro-Palestinian don't agree with you. But here's the issue. You have a big cultural divide in New York City now. And what does he have to do, despite his long and heartfelt beliefs in Palestinian rights? What does he have to do to try to bridge the cultural divide, to bring the city together so that this animosity between cultures doesn't continue to
He has
exist?
to become a statesman and be able to embrace everybody and not be a rebel rouser for anything against other New Yorkers. I think that's the one thing that happens here. And the ADL, by the way, is monitoring things, not necessarily stopping them, not pushing people through, but what they're saying is we are going to spend money and time to report back to all of New York who these people are that he is surrounding himself with. He has to remember his words now mean something. When someone says you're for or against something and he doesn't tell you what he's going to vote for on that ballot, that is not the answer you can run now from this day forward as mayor-elect or as mayor.
The transition team he's put together are all-stars. I don't agree with them politically on much, but they are people of substance and people with experience, and that's the right step in the right direction, I think.
I have one last question because I know you need to leave. Here's the issue. So right now, the two most important positions that he has to fill are schools chancellor and police commissioner. There are reports, obviously, that he will ask Jessica Tisch to stay on. And there are also reports that he might consider keeping the president schools chancellor on. Now, is that actually in the realm of reality? How can he take the two most important positions in city government and make them holdovers from the Adams campaign?
It's brilliant politics, but I believe one, if not two, will be gone. And here's why. I think it's evidence in this. He says that. There's no confirmation from them they'll accept it. There's been nothing since the day of the election. That was before the election. Since the election to today, no confirmation of where that's going. He's down in Puerto Rico the rest of the week with everybody else in New York, all the Democrats doing their thing and trying to figure out who the next speaker of the city council is going to be. And now, what happens? There are stories against the police commissioner and what she knew about ICE before the ICE raids. Gee, coincidence or not, there will now be enough of a push of a reason why he cannot keep somebody on, whether it be a chancellor, whether it be the police commissioner or somebody else. And they now, hey, I tried to keep my good friend JC and someone you know and love and trust right here on this. But guess what? The public outcry, I'm sorry, JC, and you're right, Obi, I can't do this.
Right.
And that's what's going to happen.
But didn't Kathy Hochul basically say to him, if you want my endorsement, you got to keep Jesse Tisch?
Yeah,
but now there's reasons to question that. He said, yes, I'll do it, Governor, but look at this over here.
Yeah.
We got a problem. You're right now. We can't keep her.
It was a brilliant political move to secure those endorsements, including Minority Leader Jeffries, who touted the Commissioner Tisch appointment as one of the main reasons why he wanted to endorse and keep this stability going on in City Hall. Brilliant move on his part. I think it's very difficult, and this is why. You have a mayor-elect who is not in favor of charter schools. You have a mayor-elect who doesn't even believe that the mayor should have control of the Department of Education, right? So you have a mayor-elect who is positions on crime and law and order are very different than Commissioner Tisch. So I don't think it's possible for him to keep those two in good faith moving forward, or that they would accept an appointment to commissioner.
Also, that story didn't come out before the election. I wonder why. Oftentimes when these things come out, it also could be Tisch's way of not even having to worry about saying no. All of a sudden it becomes there's too much public outcry and she's not asked officially and doesn't have to say no. And everybody goes on with their life and everyone's happy.
And on that note, we've got so much more to talk about. You'll have to come back. Thank you for joining me as usual. And thank you at home for joining me as usual.